All right, Kyle. So we are all done with Christmas 2021. How many viewings of A Christmas Story did you get through?
This year, I did 0.
Oh no! Why?
I did it
Why?
honestly Christmas Eve.
Oh, so you watched it Christmas Eve instead?
Yeah.
I think that counts. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. Joining me as always, I'm mixing words together. A case of the Mondays already. Is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom. Kyle Sullivan is with me as always. How's it going today, sir?
Living the dream.
And no viewings of A Christmas Story for you this year.
No, I did on Christmas Eve. Kind of broke tradition a little bit.
I usually get at least one in, and I don't know if I don't watch the E channel hardly ever. I don't know if they always do this, but they did a 24-hour It's a Wonderful Life marathon.
Oh, that's my least favorite.
Come on.
Oh, it makes
Why?
it makes me sad.
Dude, that is one of the best ever.
It just makes me sad. So
Yeah, but in a, like, but the ending is like everything comes together and it's perfect. It's perfect. So it's wonderful. It's a wonderful life.
It's a wonderful movie.
If we have time, maybe we'll talk about some Christmas movies at the end. But for today, a lot to get to because we're supposed to have a game today and we don't. And we also got some names that are still on that COVID list for the Avalanche. So we'll get to all of that stuff. And there's new protocols that the league came out with that the Avs have to adhere to. Lots to get to. Before we do all that, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. Follow the show on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on the show's YouTube channel over on YouTube. So we were expecting to have the Avs first matchup with the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. We are not, because today was supposed to be the league's return from this hybrid of Christmas pause and COVID pause, and they said they needed an extra day. I think right now that's all we've got, right? I mean, I think we're good to go on the 28th at least.
That's what I'm hearing, but it's one of those wait with bated breath because you saw all night Sunday night players were continually being added, so we'll have to see. Calgary's back, so that's a plus.
What I have not like with the Christmas weekend, like I'm so like family oriented, and I didn't really keep up on a lot of that stuff. So what's going on with Calgary briefly? They're all good.
Yeah, they're one of the first teams back. They were the first ones shut down, and now they're kind of re-engaged. Wow. So
okay, all right. I mean, I guess that's a good thing. The team who it struck the worst is back in business.
Yeah.
For the Avalanche, we know that the Avalanche had a lot of players on this list because, we all know how it went down right after this game against the Predators. They got shut down and they have not played since then. We found out through the Avs Twitter post yesterday that they still have 5 guys on this list. They had 11.
Yeah.
We don't know. And I think we know who they were just through some like reporting and stuff like that. But we have a definite, names and when they should be returning. And there's 5 guys on this list. Curtis McDermott is good today. He should be coming back for their next game. Nazem Kadri, he is good on the 28th, which that is their next game, correct? No. Their next game is the 29th.
Yeah. So he'll be ready to go for that game at least.
Okay. All right. Logan O'Connor. He is good on the 30th, December 30th. Mikko Rantanen. He is good to come back on December 31st. And if you had never seen this list and I told you who else would you think would be on this list and he's out the longest, what would you say?
It would be, if you had to say somebody who's not going to be able to play, it would be Frankie, of course.
Pablo Francouz, exactly. And he's coming back January 5th. So, I mean, you got to feel for that guy. What do you think? Like, what's your take on all that? I mean, most of these guys should be back. Let's see. So they're playing the 29th, and then when's the second game on is that Friday?
It's I think it's a skip 30th or 31st. It's a back.
It'd be the 31st because it's not a back to back, right?
It's a home and home. I think there's a day separation in there.
I think there is. I'm almost positive there is. I'm going to double check right now. Yep, Friday and Wednesday. Okay.
But you'll have a majority of those names, like when we're talking like Mikko and Pavel Francouz, like those are two huge names that will not be there for that, at least.
Yeah.
But I mean, when Peter Ball was talking after that Nashville game, that people are coming back and popping positive, and like this is a big deal. You kind of anticipated this, and then you see the names on the list, like it becomes a little bit more real. And but thankfully we'll get some of them back for hopefully this first game back. But it sure is going to hurt not having Mikko there.
Oh man. It's just like, is this it? Is this gonna be it for the year? Are we gonna be doing this all year long? I don't know. There were also some updates to the league's COVID protocols, and I want to get those up here. Am I coming through my right mic too?
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Just want to make sure you can hear that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm sure everybody in the car is loving that I'm popping my microphone. Just want to make sure I'm coming through the right one. All right. So what do we got for the league? The league did come up with some new protocols. All right. So Elliot Friedman has a good, just kind of basic overview of them. Goaltenders. Teams will be allowed to add an additional goalie when two regulars are not available. This is in place for the rest of the season. So, okay, fine. That's a good thing. We've been begging for salary cap exemptions. And I mean, I guess this is some form of it, but from here on in, teams in danger of dressing fewer than 2 goalies, 6 defensemen, or 12 forwards for a game will be able to make emergency recalls. The cap hit of any such player cannot exceed $1 million. What's your take on that? Well, go ahead, and then I'll chime in here.
We ask for something for the NHL, and they give us the most NHL thing they could give us. Like, we're doing this because we need help, and we're not even fielding full teams. And they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, find somebody under $1 million."
Well, and when I first heard it, I'm like, "That's, I mean, why $1 million? I mean, if you're losing someone that's, $4.5-5 million, and you're only allowed to replace him with someone making $1 million. But when you think about it, like the AHL guys, there's nobody in the AHL that's going to be making, $4.5-5 million.
No.
And if you look at the Avs, let me get to their cap friendly here. Almost all of them, all of the non-roster guys right now playing for the AHL are making less than $1 million. So they can go and the guys that they've called up. So who are they going to, Kiefer Sherwood, they've had him up a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
He's making $750,000. Jason Megna, they've had him up for the majority of the season, $750,000. Justin Barron, $925,000. Like any of the Sampo Ranta, $925,000. Shane Bowers, although he's never made it yet, $925,000. So any of those guys you want to call up are making less than that. I don't know if that's true across the league. I'm sure there's some guys down there for some teams that are making more than $1 million, but they're not going to be allowed to call them up.
Yeah, and that $750,000, I think, is league minimum. So you have a very narrow window of play when it comes to your AHLers. And thankfully, something over the years that has happened with the AHL, it's not so much the old man league that are just going for one more stint in the league. It's really youthful compared to how it was a decade ago. So maybe it'll be a little bit easier, but with this next rule, I don't know how much the emergency is going to help.
Yeah. And I want to read the taxi squad thing, but we're probably going to get into that a little bit more because there's a lot of, I have one big question, and it's a very simple one. But first, I want to talk about Built Bar. Built Bar. Yeah. Just wait, please.
Yep.
I mean, if this isn't a reason for you to hang around and wait for this pressing question that I have, you'll be on my side. Trust me. All right, Built Bar. It is still the holiday season. Christmas is behind us, but we have the new year right in front of us, and everybody wants to get in shape and get healthy for the new year. And why not do it with Built Bar? You can grab the protein bar that tastes just like a candy bar, or even better than a candy bar, and that is Built Bar. Filled with so much goodness, it's rich with decadent flavors, covered in 100% chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, yet high in protein. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy, and you have so many flavors to choose from, and you can almost be guaranteed that they'll be coming out with some new ones around the new year as well. So you can go to builtbar.com right now, use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off of your next order. Once again, that promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off at builtbar or built.com. All right. So one more caveat to these new COVID protocols, and it is for taxi squads. They are allowing taxi squads, but here's, and I'm just going to read this from the Elliot Friedman. Kyle's finding the hilarity in this. So here it is. Taxi squads. They are in place until the All-Star break. For now, teams don't have to use them. Maximum of 6 players. And all right, strap in because here we go. No one can be on it for more than 20 days. There are some eligibility requirements. You can't be on it if you're on the NHL, on an NHL roster as of December 22nd, with the exception of emergency recall. Are waiver exempt. We're on the NHL roster for at least 75% of the regular season days or played in 16 of a team's last 20 games through December 22nd. Goalies who dressed but did not play is counted as having been played. And the taxi squad can practice with the team. They get compensated, whatever. Here's my question. Why is it that convoluted? Why do you have that many stipulations for something that clearly everybody needs? Why are you putting the caveat in there that if they want to use it, I want to know the team that doesn't use it? But why does it have to be this all these exceptions, like waiver exempt? We're on an NHL roster for at least 75% of the regular season or 16 of a team's last 20 games through. Why does that matter?
I feel very strongly when I was reading the wording on this, I feel like this is the NHL's answer to the Tampa Bay Lightning LTIR situation, where they kind of took a situation and exploited it. They didn't want this to be something also you can exploit throughout the year, because initially, like, this is going to be for the up until the All-Star break for now. There's no way they're going to, at the All-Star break, say, okay, we're done with taxi squads. This is probably going to be sticking with us throughout the regular season. Well, and I feel like the NHL is trying to cover themselves in this way, like making it just so ridiculous. Like, the NHL, the players are asking for help, and the teams are asking for help, and the NHL gives them this, they give them help, but it's so wordy and constricting. It's not really going to be helping, and you're going to be doing so much micromanaging just to field a team. It's ridiculous, and I feel like they're just trying not to be exploited like the LTIR.
What I'm trying to think, like, what could you do? What could you do to exploit it? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just trying to figure out, and there probably is a way. But I'm trying to think in my head, how would you be able to? Well, when they say you can only be on it for 20 days, well, there you go.
And
that's one of them.
And Tuukka Rask still being unsigned, floating around and flirting with coming back to Boston. Mm-hmm. I feel like that could be, like, they can wiggle, finagle, get him on the team. That could be something they can run with. Like, there's still some free agents out there. Like, what you can manipulate minors, like the minor league system. Like, there are still some ways you could play with this taxi squad and make it help. And especially like if you can really start playing with it and people start going down and you really make significant improvements, it's going to be one of those, another storyline the NHL doesn't want to have to deal with is, well, they really beefed up that taxi squad that could beat half the league. Like
But
they're
I
trying to
get
avoid those narratives.
I get limiting it to a certain number of guys. I get
Mm-hmm.
that. I don't even being on it for more than 20 days. I think that is they don't want a Tampa situation. Just
Mm-hmm.
but that wouldn't even be a Tampa situation. If you're leaving a guy on a taxi squad for more than 20 days and you're not using him, you're not using him. He's
Yeah.
not helping the team. So why does it matter? And the whole thing, like you can't be on it if you're on an NHL roster as of December 22nd. Why not?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything?
And that was almost a week after our game with Nashville. And this
Yeah.
was COVID was already wreaking havoc with so many teams, and so many teams had to call up players. There are players that are on NHL rosters that shouldn't be there or earlier than they should be there. I wonder if that has a qualification or is a sticking point because they are on the team helping out because they needed players to field the team. Like, does that get tricky with calling up these minors to help? Like with we had I think Sampo at one time, but then he went back down. Like,
And that's where it gets into, we're on NHL roster for at least 75% of the regular season days, or played in 16 of a team's last 20 games. So I don't even know if Sampa Ranta would he even be qualified for this, because he hasn't. I don't think he's played in 16 of the last 20 games.
mm,
And I don't think he was on the roster for at least 70. Why do you have to be at least 75% of the regular season? I don't get any of that. Like we're talking about AHL players here for the most part. And if you're talking about guy, and I'm thinking Avalanche world
mm-hmm,
anyway. Yeah, I mean, like if you're thinking, okay, what is guys like, like Tampa going through this
mm-hmm.
again? I'm trying to think of if this was in place last year, how would that have been different? I mean, can't Tampa just keep that guy on LTIR? It has nothing to do with the taxi squad.
And and the thing that really makes this whole thing feel very fragile, like on the verge of crumbling, that All-Star break deadline, there's
Right.
no way that we reach there. So now you're going to have this 20-day mark that's going to mean nothing. There's no way you can have a taxi squad of players that haven't been on that taxi squad for 20 days going to the playoffs. So like that's got to go away, and all these little qualifications are going to have to be adjusted. I think they should just really repeal the wording of that and just, I mean, you can have a
I
taxi
mean,
squad of less than 1 million and then that should be fine.
yeah. You have this issue going on that caused you to shut down your season for a short amount of time, and now you're coming back with different all these different formats of the COVID protocol, not formats, but all these new stipulations for the COVID protocol, but you're limiting it incredibly. And I just don't understand how you're kind of like talking about how serious this is, but but we're also going to limit teams in the moves that they can make and what they can do. And on one hand, you're just saying like, okay, you can carry 3 goalies, and 3 goalies is fine. Do that for the rest of the season,
Mm-hmm.
but for the next month and a week, because I think the All-Star weekend is like the first weekend in February. Pretty sure it is. Um, for the next, you are very limited on what you can do. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't like how you're telling everybody we have to. It's so serious. We have to shut down. But now when we start back up, you can't do this, and this, and you can only take a guy that is making less than $1 million. Which, okay, that's fine. I get it, and that really shouldn't be an issue for most teams. But the more they can't be on it for more than 20 games. The 75% of the like all of those excess stuff, it just doesn't make sense to me. Because like I said, one hand you're telling me how dire the situation is and we have to stop. And then when we come back, we'll make it a little bit easier for you, but not too much. I don't know, man. I'm trying to like kind of make sense of this, and I get what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, and like they don't want teams like running wild. I think there's just a different way to police that.
Yeah, there's a good in between here, and there's a better way to police it. And if anybody can navigate these rules, the GM of the year will be decided by the All-Star break looks of things.
Yeah. I mean, and please, like, if I'm misunderstanding this somehow, please send me a message or shoot me an email and explain it to me more. If you kind of like feel like Kyle was saying, like a team is going to take advantage. If you just give the teams free reign and say like, hey, we need a taxi squad, do whatever you guys want, they're probably right. There's probably some teams that are going to take advantage of that. They're going to be like the New England Patriots of the hockey world and find the loopholes and exploit them.
Yeah.
So, but I just feel like the NHL came down like really tightening the grip, saying like, we'll allow you some latitude, but very little, not a lot. So explain to me explain it more to me than how I am perceiving it right now. Go ahead.
I want everyone listening, remember this moment the next time we come up for the CBA. Let this sit in the back of your mind, how the NHL is handling this right now, because there's already some vocal voices from the player side on how things are being handled. And when this comes out, remember this.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to laugh at baseball right now, but I'm telling you right now, hold on to this.
Yep. And the Olympics.
Yep.
I mean, I get it. I think the players are on par with that, but the players didn't get what they wanted, understandably so. I think they made the right move there. But are the players going to come back and say, we made concessions to get us to go to the Olympics and we didn't get to go to the Olympics. So now what are you giving us in return? So, all right. Let's hear from Bet Online. It has you covered for this holiday season and beyond. More prop bets, odds, and lines than ever before. Football makes its march to the postseason, likely without the Denver Broncos. And the college bowl season is upon us for the college football playoffs and bowl season. And BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action for these postseasons. Get excited. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up. And when you do, you'll receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, the NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available. It's betonline.ag, and it's where the game starts. All right. You know what I just thought of? Somebody, when we were talking about the Mount Rushmore, somebody put up a comment in the comment section. Her name is Tanya, and she kind of laid into me a little bit. So I'll read what she said. She said, Chris, I love listening to you, but your lack of interest in Mikko drives me crazy. Keep Sakic. He's the epitome of the Colorado Avalanche on 1,000 different levels. Keep Forsberg. He's always been the heart in Colorado. Why are you both so set on Wah? Yes, he was an excellent goalie, and yes, he was there to win both cups. Maybe I'm bitter, but how he left means something, and I have no desire to memorialize that. All right. For the third spot, I'd give it to Landy, and not because I'm a fan of his, because I'm not, but because clearly the man does some behind-the-scenes magic for the team. As far as the fourth spot, all Mikko gets from you is a passing acknowledgement. Take Makar, McKinnon, and Rantanen and do some points per game stats comparisons and see how long it took Nate to get to one or more points per game on average, and how fast Makar and Mikko did the same thing. Well, I'm voting for Mikko. I'd almost equally accept Makar as well.
Well, Chris, you got some explaining to do.
All right. I'm going to start by saying at the beginning of the year, I picked Mikko to win the Hart. So I thought that was going to be a major upset, and nobody was really paying attention to him. And I thought he was ready to take off. I thought what he did for last year was fantastic, and I thought he was going to carry that over into this year. And I thought he was primed to have a career year. And I even went on multiple podcasts in the Locked On network and said that. And said, I think Mikko is going to win the Hart. I think he will have north of 112 points on the season. I thought he was going to be he's going to become the household name. And he's still a great player. And he's doing that. I don't think he's going to reach, the high expectations I had for him. But for this, for like a Mount Rushmore, we didn't talk about him enough. I will grant her that. The thing with Wah, does that change your mind?
That honestly, Tanya, I did see that comment. That really got me thinking. And he didn't really willingly choose Colorado. He was traded here. Yes, he was here as long as he was, and then kind of retired when we were right on the cusp of that super team. That was the year of Paul Kariya and Teemu Selanne coming over. Yeah. He didn't stick around for that. And we had David Absher. But like, I started thinking, you know what? Maybe his spot wasn't the most solid on that Mount Rushmore.
Wow.
And yeah. And especially with how he left as a coach.
I know. I can't back that up. Like that's kind of like unforgivable. And I think, you have to ask yourself, where does that override what he did as a player? For some people like Tanya, it does. For me, it doesn't. It doesn't. Did he leave them like high and dry? Yes, I do. I believe that the timing was awful of it. But is he the first coach to leave because he wants more of a say in the players that he's coaching? No. I can understand that. Again, the timing of it was horrific.
Yeah.
But he and if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have Nathan MacKinnon.
That's true.
But I'm not as bitter on it because look where it's gotten us. At the time, sure. Like, he left the high and dry. The first Bednar season was a catastrophe. But I've moved on from it. I don't say if I've forgiven him, but I've moved on from it because the team is set up for a good run for the foreseeable future. So I'm okay with it now. And I can say that now. Maybe the first Bednar year, if we had this conversation, he maybe would be removed because emotions are running high. And some people like her still are going to hold on to those emotions and not let that go and say, nope, like that, you did this to my team. And I am going to hold on to that forever. Unless maybe he comes back and has a second stint with them, which I do not ever see happening. But I have to leave him there because he was just too good of a player. I have to.
And I think Cody McLeod would keep him on that Mount Rushmore because I think Patrick Waugh gave Cody McLeod more of a career than any other coach he's had in his life.
Yeah. Didn't they trade? Well, they traded him to who? The Rangers, I think it was.
He went to Nashville. I think that was Bednar's first year.
I remember it wasn't Nashville, and I remember you're right because the first game, I think it was the first game that he got traded. They played Nashville, and he got into a fight with Jerome
Francois. It was Iginla. I thought it was Boschman.
No, it was Iginla. It was like, well, these guys clearly didn't like each other when they were playing together. But getting back to Mikko, like I think he will be in that conversation when his career is all said and done. I just don't think it will be. And I had Makar there because, and what I said, last week was what he is doing at that defensive position is stuff we've never seen before. So I think because he's going to be a trendsetter for that position, he's going to be slotted in there.
I think to Tanya's point, Mikko right now he's at a crossroads for how his legacy is going to be. Looked back at, he could be a Peter Forsberg type pillar for this current Avalanche team. His mindset right now, he's comfortable taking that lesser role and letting everybody else shine around him. We haven't seen this year, like last year, he had no problem taking that leadership role and scoring at will and being really just electric. This year, we haven't seen that as much. And if this is his new mindset and shifting, like he could go from Peter Forsberg type legacy to like a Stefan Yell or like an Adam Deadmarsh, like a complementary player. If this is where he's going to go, it's complementary, but he has all the talent in the world where he can be better than Nathan MacKinnon most nights if he applies himself.
I think, I mean, over the course of his career, I would say he's more consistent than Nathan MacKinnon.
Yeah.
I mean, Nathan MacKinnon, you get these ups and downs. Like most of the time, MacKinnon is going to finish a season with more points than Mikko, if all things are equal, if they've played the same amount of games. But Mikko, he just plugs along. Like he's not that flashy guy like Nathan MacKinnon is that is going to be flying up and down the ice, but you're not moving him. He's a mountain. But I do.
And he's that guy. He's that guy who gets down in the corner and fishes that puck. If you watch, like when they're chasing down pucks, Mikko's that first one. They're putting a body on somebody. That's why he doesn't show up on the stat sheet.
Let me ask you this: do you think we take Mikko for granted?
Yes, 1,000%.
Yeah,
we're spoiled.
I do. I think we are. I think we are with him because he's so good. He's so reliable. But when you have guys like Nathan MacKinnon, even Gabe Landeskog, and you know Makar, and now like you have Byram, you have all those names that so much comes with those names. And for Mikko, it's solid consistency. And I think, is that enough to get him on? You know, when we're talking Mount Rushmore, we are talking about the 4 best players in team history. Is he there? I don't think so. Is he in the conversation? Definitely.
Yes.
I don't think he's far off. But I can't put him there right now. But that's why we said 15 years from now. If he can keep on this consistent level for the next 10 years, and we'll see what happens with Nathan MacKinnon, but we all expect him to continue to do what he's doing. I think it'd be hard pressed for him to supplant MacKinnon or Makar. But he is in the conversation. I will grant you that. And I'm sorry we didn't talk about him more the other day, but he's my third right now. I think I'd put Makar and then MacKinnon and then Mikko.
Yeah.
And if you want to remove Waugh, then Landeskog easily gets a spot in there because when you have a captain for that long, he's easily getting a spot.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Mikko's one of those that we're so accustomed to and spoiled when it comes to Mikko. You don't miss him till he's injured. You look back and you're looking forward to him when he comes back, and then he just keeps doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And everybody just kind of takes him for granted again. He's the highest paid player on the team, and nobody complains about it. No. That should tell you a lot.
Yep. No, I love the guy. Sorry I didn't talk about him enough, but can he still win the Hart? I think that ship has sailed for this year, but he was my pick. He was my pick. But all right. So for tomorrow, we'll kind of look at the games for this coming week. It's really 3 games between 2 teams. So we'll be discussing all that. And then if anything else, if the league is on pause again, we'll be talking about that. Let's hope we get back to some games. I think we will. It doesn't really say as this recording that they're canceling anything for Tuesday, right?
Nope, not yet.
All right, good. So games will be back. Let's hope. So that's going to be it for today, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Check out Locked On NHL for your second listen and get caught up on all this craziness going on across the league. All right. He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow.